Hey, what up, YouTube? Wanted to make this video real quick to give some folks some insight on Dynasty mode and teams you might want to mess around with if you're looking for some sort of challenge or just something fun to do. I've been playing NCAA football since, I want to say, 03. And the only reason I think I remember that is because I want to say Oregon's quarterback was there was an Oregon quarterback on the cover. Let me check to make sure. Yeah, it was NCAA Football 2003 with Joey Harrington as the cover athlete. So that's a that's a deep pull. He's relevant to me because I'm a Bears fan, and growing up, I remember Joey Harrington being the quarterback for the Lions. So it's a familiar name to me, but I know for a lot of folks, especially this younger generation, you all have no clue who the hell I'm talking about. Like I said, I started with NCAA Football 2003. I'm not going to lie and sit here and be like, oh, I was on there since 2002 or 2001. 03 was my first real experience with the game. Now, the copy of the game that I know that I went the deepest with, that I spent the most time playing, besides 2014 or NCAA 14, was NCAA Football 2006. That's hands down one of my favorite video games ever, right? This is the copy. You got Des Howard on the cover striking the Heisman pose. It's iconic. It's one of the few, I think it might be the only NCAA football game that actually had a OST. So mostly every NCAA football game, typically it was like, you know, you just heard the different schools fight songs or whatever, generic menu music. This one had an actual soundtrack, and that in itself was super dope. But NCAA 06, that was the one I remember spending my hard-earned money, actually pre-ordering that game. And yeah, like I remember it came out my 8th grade year. So, yeah, I spent a lot of 8th grade playing NCAA 06. Even to this day, I remember going on eBay, finding a working function in PS2, finding a copy of that game just to play it again. So, I mean, that game had a huge impact on my life when it came to college football, camaraderie, and things like that, right? It kind of began to shape who I was, if I'm being honest. I literally, from there, I want to say, I mean, did I play 07? And I don't want to go too long with this. I'm pretty sure I played 07, but it's like, I don't know. It was something after that. I think things just kind of changed a little bit. I mean, I remember playing a lot of the NCAA games, even down the line. But like I said, 06, definitely biggest impact. And then, of course, 14. I mean, that was the last one a lot of us had for a long time. So, yeah, NCAA 14, I want to say that came out. I mean, I was in college when it came out. So, yeah. That was, I mean, that's the last one we had. So, yeah, like just going based on, and I'm not sure if EA knew at that point in time, like, this is it. We're not dropping another one. Like, maybe they did, maybe maybe they're like, yeah, licensing and lawsuits and this, that, the third, and yada, yada, yada were about to happen. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if anybody predicted that NCAA 14 would be the last one we'd have for the last 10 years, essentially. Excuse my puppy. She's over here wilding out right now. But I wanted to put some of the younger crowd onto, like, teams to play as, right? Decisions I've always essentially made when it came to teams I liked messing around with were either ones that I literally knew, or just ones that were just kind of fun. Like, there was a level of difficulty. Like, anybody who played, like, the old school games, like, you knew North Texas. Like, North Texas, you were the little fish in the large, basically in the ocean, right? Because you had this school. North Texas had been around, but you had this school in essentially what a lot of people will consider the football state, right? Texas and football is just one of those things, right? And you got little North Texas, Mean Green, pretty dope, nickname when you think about it. And it's like, what people would do back then, it was like, okay, I'm going to take North Texas and I'm going to turn them into a powerhouse. We're going to play Texas every year. We're going to play Texas A&M every year. We're going to play Oklahoma every year. We're going to run through whatever conference we're in. And this is what you have to realize. With the older NCAA games, you didn't have the level of customization that you have with NCAA 14. The older games, like I know for a fact in 06, and maybe even some of the ones older than that, you would have to perform and get an invite to a conference. So I typically would play as Northern Illinois University, right? That's actually the college I ended up going to. But let's say I would have NIU. I'm playing as NIU. Garrett Wolf essentially is my running back. That's another deep cut. And I'm turning them from, I think on the game, they were either like a 2-star program, maybe even a 1-star program, right? I'm taking NIU and I'm going to make them into like a 4 or 5-star program over however many years. And then you would actually get an invite to like the Big Ten or something like that. It wasn't as simple as, oh, we're just going to expand the conference and add this team. Like, they were literally taking out their worst team and they were going to add you. So there were a lot of years where, oh, Northern Illinois has been invited to the Big Ten conference and I'm replacing like Northwestern or Purdue or Indiana or something like that. So that was different. I know NCAA 14, you can do whatever the hell you want to do when it came to conference realignment and stuff like that. But if you want to keep it just default, you're not messing around with stuff, you're not just changing everything, I want to run through a list of schools by conference that I think some people should mess around with. And I'll do this alphabetical order, so we'll start with the American Conference. American Athletic Conference, which, if I remember historically, essentially replaced the Big East Conference, the Big East Football Conference. I know the basketball conference still exists, but the Big East Football Conference became the AAC. And for like a couple seconds, I think they technically were a Power 5 conference, and then that all kind of went away once a lot of schools started to leave. So they're just kind of, yeah. I know if we're going based off of last year's statistics, best team in the conference, essentially SMU. So it wouldn't make sense to pick SMU for your dynasty. Historically a fun team to play as, besides North Texas, right? Because here's the funny thing. North Texas is actually in this conference. Besides North Texas, there was one other school that also fell under that same boat. And it was Rice, the Rice Owls. What a lot of people don't know, and this is me as an adult, doing research and looking things up, not for this video, but just in general, there's this thing called endowment, right? Rice is a brain school, right? It's a very small, like, it's Ivy League-esque. Like, Rice is where you go. I want to say they have a very good that's a very good engineering school, if I remember correctly. Rice, when it comes to football, historically, for like a hot minute, Rice was not competitive, right? Rice baseball, on the other hand, pretty damn good. But Rice football, no. I know this last year they went 6-7. So for those purposes, Rice is not one of the teams that's going to be like I recommend to play as for difficulty purposes. North Texas, they went 5-7. And I think over the past couple of seasons in general, they've been doing historically better than usual. I would say Navy. Navy's always fun because Navy's a school where you're running the triple option. It's that damn simple. You're running the triple option. But Navy has, during my lifetime, I feel like Navy's always out of the 3 military academies. Navy's always kind of been in the middle. I always felt like the most successful may have been Air Force, right? Air Force and then Navy and then Army is kind of at the bottom. But Navy's fun if you're just like, yo, I'm just going to run the hell out of the ball, right? And so if you want to play through, if you want a dynasty where your only thing is you're recruiting, not even dual threat quarterbacks, but you're just recruiting scrambling quarterbacks, speedy running backs, fullbacks that can definitely run the ball. You're looking for wide receivers that can run block. Like you're just only recruiting run blocking linemen. Like, you know, Navy would be a fun option. For the sake of overall choice, I'd say plays either East Carolina or Temple. East Carolina, because they literally had a 2-10 record. So, I mean, they came in last conference-wise in general, right? East Carolina, my childhood memories are Chris Johnson. So it's like you got this school that had this electric running back that just, you know, I mean, even at the NFL level, the dude was like, he was the guy. So if you want to do something fun, take East Carolina and make them a successful program. Temple, that's an interesting one because Temple has always been kind of weird to me. Temple's like that school that's like, I don't know what to say about Temple. Like, no disrespect to anybody who went to Temple. A friend of mine's went to Temple. But just like Temple is Temple, you know? Like, I don't know if you just want to like do a dynasty with them and make them relevant. And potentially, you know, move them to the AAC or something. Or do East Carolina move them to the AAC or maybe even the SEC after, you know, you built them up as a powerhouse. Move into the ACC, because I know there's some people who want to do actual playthroughs, but still be in Power 5 conferences. Like, you have the people who are gonna, you know, they're gonna go SEC, but they're gonna go like Vanderbilt or something, right? You know, make it a little challenging. Still, at the end of the day, the strength of the conference will help with recruitment. Yes, program prestige is a thing, but strength of the conference is going to make it a little bit easier compared to, I'm going to go be a head coach in the Sun Belt or the MAC or Conference USA. Basically, I want to take the worst team in the game and make them the best team in the game. ACC, Wake Forest, that's pretty easy. Like, there's no other school on this list that I would be like, you know, like if you want to do Pittsburgh and make them a wide receiver powerhouse, you know, like you come here because Larry Fitzgerald and we're going to turn you into the next Larry Fitzgerald, right? If that's the mindset you want to have, go with Pitt. I think that'd be kind of fun. Pitt, that brand, that school, the relevancy is there. So, you know, turning Pitt back into a respectable football program probably would be decent. But Wake Forest, to me, that's always kind of been a basketball school in a sense. Wake Forest, I think basketball when I think Wake Forest, or maybe even baseball a little bit. I know for a fact, like I said, SEC Vanderbilt's definitely a baseball school. But like I said, if ACC, Pitt, or Wake Forest. I'd even say you can throw in Virginia, but I'm too much of a Virginia Tech, a lifelong Virginia Tech fan to be like I just don't see the fun in playing as Virginia, you know. But Pitt, Wake Forest, that could be some fun. Wake Forest's mascot is his story. Like I said, you got some of these schools where the teams may not be amazing, but the branding right? You know, the Demon Deacon, their mascot, like, that is a known mascot. Like, people know who that is. If we're going to the Big 12, I'd say you got essentially two options. BYU, even though they went 5-7, BYU, and here's why BYU. Every NCAA I've ever played with, I played BYU, like, in my mind, I think air raid. If you want to bring BYU back to just dominant air raid school, then do it, because that's the conference. It's the Big 12. Big 12, you're putting up points. So BYU, if you want to actually make them into an air raid powerhouse again, or here's the fun part, you can turn BYU into a triple option school. I want to say historically at one point they were a triple option school. You have to go back and do the research. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just looking at this wrong. But I'm pretty sure at one point back in the either the 90s or the 80s, maybe even the early thousands, BYU, that was a running school. Like, they ran the ball. Maybe I'm BSing and I'm, you know, going based on, but what I'm going based on is coaches that they've had, and looking at the coaches that they've had, that's why I'm like, they had to have been a running team. I would say Cincinnati, but I'm like, it's a little bit too soon. So BYU, if I had to choose a team in the Big 12, BYU, or like I said, you can do Cincinnati or Baylor, you know. Big 10. Now, here's the thing. The Big 10, I'm not sure what the Big 10 is going to look like in this upcoming game. I'm not sure if this is going to be the Big 10 with a bunch of the additions from the Pac-12, or if they're just going to keep it still as what it is right now. If that's the case, I'd say if you had to pick a team, take Indiana or Michigan State. Here's why. Indiana, I just feel like Indiana's always been overshadowed by their basketball team. It is what it is, right? Take Indiana, make them football relevant. Or you can do Michigan State. You can be like, I'm the little brother. I'm forever tired of being overshadowed by Michigan. We've had some good years, right? They've had some great years. But right now, they're not in a good place. So potentially taking Michigan State and making them a true dominant force in the Big 10 could be a little bit of fun. Conference USA, I mean, you can take dang near any school and try to make something happen. I mean, I know Liberty did amazing this past season. They went 13-1. But Liberty ain't going to get the respect. They just won't. I mean, I went to NIU. I literally was there to witness them go to an Orange Bowl. And like I said, the respect just ain't never going to be there. So, I mean, you can even play Liberty and just be like, I want to truly get this school to like a 6-star program and move them into the ACC or something. I don't know. If you had to truly make this a difficulty thing, do Sam Houston. Sam Houston, I know that was a FCS team not that long ago. Let's truly take a team that is transitioning still, and let's continue on the journey. So Sam Houston, I guess, would be my choice for Conference USA. If you're going to Independence, whew, you got UConn. You got UMass. Now, UMass is joining the Mid-American Conference. I'm just not sure if it's... I'm pretty sure they're joining for the upcoming season. So I would think that when NCAA... When College Football 25 comes out, I think UMass will be in the MAC. If not, UMass could be a fun team. UConn... Like, I mean, the fall off for UConn is kind of crazy to me. Like, I'm not 100% sure, and maybe I should go look into, like, what happened to UConn football. Because, I mean, we know the basketball team. UConn basketball is UConn basketball on the men's and women's side. But UConn football, I don't remember being horrible. Like, I don't remember them being great. They weren't super top tier, but I don't remember them being like super bad. And they've had some seasons where it was like bad. So UConn, and then Army. Army's always fun, like I said, triple option. They're independent, so I mean, you can set up that entire schedule whichever way you want to. So that's a fun one to do. Yeah. If you're doing the MAC, Mid-American Conference, Kent State, typically Kent State, Akron, so Akron is usually the school that just historically has been bad in football, but Kent State managed to go 1-11, and Kent State usually ain't that bad. Like, Kent State's not good, but Kent State ain't that bad. Akron usually is the team that's just not, because Akron is a basketball school. Yeah, Akron or Kent State, pick your poison, because you're gonna have a hard time. Like, you're in the MAC, you got some teams in there that can play football and good football. Yeah, it wouldn't hurt to play Kent State and try to make them relevant, or Akron and try to make them relevant. Mountain West. Here's an interesting one. I say Hawaii. Turn Hawaii back into an air raid school. Like, I want Hawaii breaking all the passing records. I remember growing up, Hawaii had like an amazing quarterback. I want to say it was Colt Brennan. I think that was his name. Maybe I'm mixing him up with somebody. But Hawaii had quarterbacks, and they could throw the ball. So going Hawaiian air raid. And then, of course, the fun thing, this is like one of those challenges people do. Hawaii, make them air raid. Or I guess technically make them whatever offense you want. You can keep it the default playbook that they have. But only recruit from Hawaii. That was like one of those things I remember doing as a teenager, challenging myself, because that's what, like, it's like I'm limiting myself to only the state of Hawaii, which means there ain't going to be a whole lot of anybody there. So it's like, how do I turn Hawaii into the 6-star program when I got like a pool of 20 players to recruit from? The highest player might be a 3-star. And you just got to make it happen. So Hawaii is always fun. Air Force, if you just want to run, like I said, once again, triple option. If you just want an actual challenge, you can go to Nevada. I like taking, me personally, I like playing with New Mexico. I like running the pistol with New Mexico and just making them really good. I don't know what it is about it. I like it's just something about New Mexico. I like playing as New Mexico, making them good, and then moving them to like the Big 12 and having them compete. That's just me personally. But I say Hawaii, Air Force, or if you want an actual challenge, you know, take Nevada and turn them into like a decent program. Pac-12, I don't know what the hell that's about to look like. I have no clue, so we're just going to skip the Pac-12. Either you can do Oregon State or Washington State, I guess, and be like, this is the revenge tour. This is the revenge tour. I'm going to take Washington State, and we're going to run the table because F everybody else. So, and then, of course, SEC. So if you're going to go SEC, if you're going to be that guy, just do Vanderbilt. I mean, Vanderbilt, like I said, Vanderbilt, when it comes to baseball, none of these other schools are going to laugh at Vanderbilt. But when it comes to football, I'm pretty sure you got teams putting in third-string guys playing them. Like, Vanderbilt just, historically, I think my entire life, I don't think I've ever really truly seen Vanderbilt as a competitive football team. So you can pick Vanderbilt and build them up. Another fun one could be Arkansas, because Arkansas has a nice little chunk of rivalries. So I think Arkansas could be a decent one. If you truly look at their rivalry list and look at, you know, who you could play against and, you know, do those non-conference games and whatnot, which like I said, I'm not sure how these conferences are going to be set up once this new game comes out, but either Arkansas or Vanderbilt. And then I want to say last, we got Sun Belt Conference. something about, like I said, I'm the type of person who likes to do traditional. Like, I'm a traditional type of guy. I like taking Southern Miss and then just turning them back into an air raid school. And, like, we're passing the ball. Every play is just a pass and play. We're breaking every record possible. I think the University of Louisiana schools, those schools, my entire life, I mean, I've just never, like, I think the Raging Cajuns, I forget which one that is. That Lafayette? I think Lafayette has had a better, you know, shake, but UL Monroe, I mean, I don't know if they've ever truly had a winning, like, I don't know. That's just always been one of those schools that's like they're gonna be at the bottom a lot of times. So like I said, you can do Southern Miss if you want to do a straight air raid, if you want to channel your inner Brett Favre and just be like, we're just gonna throw the ball all game long, have fun. Louisiana Monroe, have fun. Louisiana Lafayette, have fun. I think of another fun one because I know Marshall is in the Sun Belt. Go ahead, you know, we are Marshall. Go ahead, pick Marshall, turn them into a powerhouse. You know, Chad Pennington, Randy Moss, make it happen. Georgia Southern was always a fun one because I like running the ball. Or like just something about Georgia Southern. I remember Georgia Southern when they were still a FCS or 1AA school, I guess you would say, and they were just like a powerhouse at that level, right? So then when they moved to the big boys, you know, they had some good seasons. They were doing pretty solid, but it seems like there's a little bit of a fall off. So Georgia Southern, I think, would be a fun one. So me personally, I'm always gonna do NIU. I'm gonna do my 50 whatever, however many years it lets me go. I'm gonna turn NIU into undefeated powerhouse school for a bajillion years in a row. But yeah, usually, I mean, eventually, yeah, I end up going with some of these other schools, and you know, just limit yourself. You know, if you want to do something, like I said, do a Hawaii and only recruit from Hawaii. Do a UConn and only recruit from Connecticut. Those are typically those super challenging ones, right? Do UMass and only recruit from Massachusetts, or even do Boston College and only recruit from Massachusetts, right? That'll be very challenging. It'll be way more difficult than you think. Like I said, if you want to take, if you want to do something with medium difficulty, take a Texas school. So let's say, like, you could probably do Texas State. Do Texas State, or let's see who else we got beside Texas State. You could maybe do, because I think Conference USA has a couple. Like I said, Sam Houston, because I'm pretty sure Sam Houston, if I'm not wrong, Sam Houston's in Texas, right? Ain't it? I think so. I'm pretty sure. Do Sam Houston, and only recruit Texas. And it's like, that's not that difficult because you're just recruiting Texas, which has 9 times out of 10 some of the best recruits in the game. So if you want to get your feet a little bit wet, you know, and turn a team into a powerhouse and only have the entire team be from that state, then there you go. But yeah, I mean, I went down a list, and I just wanted to make this for the folks who are like, there's a lot of hype around this game, but I don't know who I want to play as. I'm going to just play as Alabama. Like, that's not fun. I promise you, it's going to be no fun at all. Like, you can play online, but people who mess with NCAA football heavily, it was never really for the online. The dynasty and, like, the character creation, like you're doing your own little Heisman run, that's why people messed with NCAA football so heavily. It was like you could just, there was a level of customization and what ifs that you can make happen. So, I mean, online is going to be there. They're probably going to do some sort of college football ultimate team mode and, you know, all that stuff. But online, like, yeah, that'll be fun once in a while. But the dynasty is what's going to keep you coming back.